Hey guys, it's Sign here with HobbiesofaMan. Once again, today we're going to be doing another comic book review. We're going to be looking at comic book issue number 5 of Transformers by Daniel Warren Johnson, with colors by Mike Spicer, and no changes to the rest of the team, which is quite good. This continues to be a phenomenal work. It kind of ratchets up the emotional kind of stuff here, and a little bit of the action as well. There's a lot of stuff going on here. It is kind of reaching the end of its first arc, and I'm not really sure what the end is going to be, but there are some interesting moments that happen here. So I will talk about them here shortly. So it opens up with Sparky and Optimus, and there's this really beautiful kind of retelling of their stories at the same time. So there's a panel of Optimus, and then an equivalent panel of Sparky, and then an equivalent panel of Optimus, and then another panel of Sparky, and it's sequential, and it tells the same story for both of them, which is the story of war and why they went to it and what they saw and how horrible it is. And it's this mirror, this parallel between the two of them that connects them and binds them together, which is a very artistic way of showing that they were having a conversation about their war efforts, the situations that they've been through before, right? They talk about how long they've been fighting. Apparently Sparky only did one tour, which I think is supposed to be anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. I'm not really sure, so don't quote me on that. But if anyone knows exactly, let me know down in the comments. And of course, Optimus says he's been fighting for years and years and years. And then Sparky's like, dude, you're ancient and wise. Do you have any idea why it has to be this way? And Optimus is like, well, not really. But every time I see myself in the mirror, I know that I'm fighting so that no one ever ends up looking like me again, which is a very kind of long-winded way of saying wars are fought for peace, or these men specifically are soldiers for the sake of peace, which is a kind of the paradox of war, or the paradox of peace, I guess, which is like a philosophical concept that's kind of mentioned a lot, or at least I've seen mentioned a lot, that makes sense, but also is kind of odd. Like, if you really think about it, there's a way to have peace. It just means that everyone would have to avoid conflict. However, the reality is that humans cannot do that. And so that's why eventually wars happen, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that it is okay to be a warrior or a soldier or a killer, even if you have like good intentions. It just means that, you know, there is like a way for you to be able to rationalize it so that you don't feel like you're a monster. And I think that is acceptable. But it's a very interesting point to make here. I don't think many people are going to think too deeply about it, but it does have like this kind of resonance to it that I like. I think that it makes sense. And it's a good moment of showing character for both Sparky and Optimus. And it's also very good at kind of exemplifying, you know, these characters and what they're kind of doing, right? So it works out pretty well. It's just like when you think about it, there's kind of like a circular logic to it that of course means that it is not a well thought out kind of like concept, right? But it's a concept that has been told and kind of worked with for a while, right? So yeah, it is what it is. Interesting stuff. Then we move on to Starscream and Soundwave, who are fixing some of the other Decepticons. They've managed to get the Teletron 1 or the ARC to work, and they're using it thanks to whatever Starscream and Soundwave did to, what's the other guy's name? You know, the other Seeker. They killed him in order to use his parts for fixing Teletron 1, and now it works. And we get introduced to some other Decepticons. Enter Frenzy and Reflector, who I'm not really aware of. I don't know who these characters are, but they fit right in. They look good. One of them turns into a camera, and the other one I think is some sort of a, you know, car or something, or a ship. And these are basically just Soundwave type characters, tertiary. Well, I guess Soundwave is more of a main character, but you know, they're just kind of fodder for later, right? So yeah, they go off to fight the Autobots because apparently they've managed to find a way to get a lot of energy, and they leave, right? We turn back to the Autobots, who are at the dam. It looks very similar to the Hoover Dam, but I don't think it is. Although I guess all dams kind of look the same, so I'm not really sure. I've never seen one in person, actually. Well, I have seen one, but it was in Mexico, so the architecture is a bit different. It doesn't look the same as what you would think like an American dam looks like, but they're not too different, I guess. But it turns out Ratchet and Sparky and a Wheeljack managed to force the dam and some of their tech to coexist and work, and now it's kind of basically producing enough energy to basically work as energon. I'm not really sure how that works. I think energon is supposed to be some sort of ore that has like a specific property to it, right? That then is combusted into energy by the Autobots or by the Cybertronians in general. But it doesn't seem like that. In this case, it seems to be just energy from the dam to like plasmify basically in order to create energy for the Autobots. And so they use it to awaken RC and Jazz. And the RC reawakening is really, really cool. She looks awesome. I love her. There's a really good moment here. And then right after RC is woken up and right before Jazz is, the Decepticons attack. And so Optimus actually shows off his arm, and it turns out that it wasn't Jazz's arm, it's actually Megatron's arm. Now, I don't really know where this came from, but it's just on Optimus, and you can clearly see it now. It is black and gray compared to the rest of his arm, which is gray with blue and red. And it has the giant cannon that, Megatron has, and he uses it to shoot Reflector in the face, and he actually kills him. And then he beats Frenzy to shit by grabbing him from the leg and just kind of ragdolling him like, Hulk does to Loki. And it's pretty good stuff. Cliffjumper and Carly are up on the top of the dam. They're shooting down at the Decepticons. Something happens, I can't remember what. And Carly actually, the edge where she's standing crumbles, and so she falls down the dam. But RC manages to kind of drive up the dam in such a way that Carly falls into her seat, and so she saves Carly, and it works out really nicely. And RC has this moment of I don't know what the fuck you are or who are you, but I'll save you because everyone seems to like you. So she does, and it works out pretty nicely. And it seems like a lesser author or someone else might go, oh, put the two girl characters together, but no, Carly is very clearly Cliffjumper's partner, and so even though she thinks RC, she immediately goes back to Cliffjumper, which is nice. I like that. And what happens then? Jazz saves Cliffjumper, who is still at the top of the dam and he's getting shot. They have this really cool action pose of Jazz and Cliffjumper back to back. Jazz is significantly bigger than Cliffjumper, but they're shooting like crazy around them, and it's really, really cool. I like it. And then Optimus and Starscream are fighting, and Optimus is winning, and he wins enough that he forces Starscream to retreat, and then Optimus is like, we outnumber them now, let's go and fucking murder them so we can leave and take the Ark back and go back on our journey, right? But it's actually wrong, right? The Ark is now Decepticon territory. Cliffjumper takes Carly with him, even though they told her to stay back. Sparky and Optimus beat to hell, kind of go. They're in front, and as they're driving up to the Ark, a really cool scene happens. It says heavy metal across the panel, and this purple and green construction bulldozer thing rams into Optimus in a really awesome way. I could just hear a crazy guitar string, just a riff just going really, really hard. It was awesome. And enter the Constructicons, or the Constructicons, and they roll up to fight, and they turn into Devastator. And it turns out that it was a trap that Starscream kind of pulled on the Autobots, and that's basically where it ends, with Devastator, standing tall, 3 times as large as Optimus. And it was pretty awesome. I really, really enjoyed this. There's a lot of good character development. There's a lot of work done with the art. And the ending was awesome. I really am excited to see what comes next. I'm curious to see when the arc actually ends. If I remember correctly, this is the penultimate issue. So there's one more, and then the artist switch over to George Corona, who, if I remember correctly, is the guy that did the artwork for Scotty Young's Middle West. And if that is the case, he has this very kind of blocky style that I think is going to work really, really nicely for the Transformers, but might not be as like grungy as Daniel Warren Johnson stuff, and that might actually kind of cause some people to either leave the book or come on. Like, I feel like there's going to be a change in readership amount after the end of this first arc. However, either way, I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to work well if they switch, but who knows? We'll have to see, right? So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Transformers number 5. Let me know what you guys thought down below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and see you guys later.